Yo, what's going on everybody? It is Straight Outta Boston here, aka the King of Boston. Today we're back for episode 23 of my Pacers MyLeague and NBA 2K15. We're simulating, rolling along, and then all of a sudden we get a massive injury blow. DeAndre Jordan dislocated patella. He is out 4 to 6 months. Now that happens right at the end of December, so you can do the time frame, do the math in your head, but up to that point, we had been 29-5. We had won 16 games in a row. We were red hot, and then things just unwound from there. We ended up going 6-6 over our next 12 games through our second matchup with the Hornets, in which we lose, and we fall now 4.5 games back of Charlotte for that #1 seed and home court advantage. You can see 5-5 in our last 10, and you can do the math. We were 6-6 in our last 12, so we're going to act swiftly here, and this was pretty much the trade that made the most sense to do. We needed to replace Marc Gasol's rim protection. Paul Millsap, I talked about trading him before. He was the best salary matchup with a $13 million. We didn't have the cap room to just add on a $13 million salary, so we had to trade a salary like Paul Millsap's to get another rim protector in here. And it turns out that that ends up being Marc Gasol, a man that I wanted before, and I end up getting now. His Grizzlies team was 17-26 at the time, I think 11th in the Western Conference. They'd really fallen out of the playoff picture, and it made sense for them to shop him around. And I stumbled upon his name. We end up flipping Millsap and KJ McDaniels for Marc Gasol in a second-round pick. And I talked about giving up KJ McDaniels before as the likely guy I was going to flip as our sweetener in a trade, but now we move Kelly Oubre to the starting lineup to replace Paul Millsap at the 4, so we run a bit of a smaller lineup now, and we put Marc Gasol at the 5, so I think our starting 5 might actually be better now than it was before when we had Millsap and DeAndre starting in the front court, because I think Kelly Oubre is probably better than Paul Millsap by now, and I think Marc Gasol might be a little better than DeAndre Jordan. So in real life, I'm not gonna get into it, but when I say things like that, I'm speaking as that in this game, or in this MyLeague series, Gasol's probably a little bit better than DeAndre Jordan. So I think our starting unit's a lot better, but where we're really gonna suffer is our bench. We not only lose Kelly Oubre, who transformed our bench and our entire team last year when we added him for that Hawks pick that we dealt to the Hornets for him, or the Pelicans or whatever. Not only did Oubre help our bench scoring, but he transformed our team last year, and we took off and then ended up winning 50 games and made the finals on that momentum. And so we lose that part of it, and we also lose KJ McDaniels, who is a player that I'd been willing to give up for a while now, but still, that hurts to lose. So we're replacing those two players with pieces like Mike Miller, Mo Williams, and Luis Scola, 3 guys who are horrific defenders, and that's going to really hurt our team defense. We had still been on that like 80. I think we had been giving up 83 points a game by the time DeAndre got hurt, and that has gone down in the last 12 games, replacing Gasol. It's really our second unit defense that struggles. Cauley Stein is good, but he still is not good enough to really anchor a defense. And I waited the 12 games to trade for Marc Gasol because I wanted to see how this team would do with Cauley Stein as the starter, see how much of a downgrade that really was, but it turned out to be a pretty hefty one, so we really had to make a move, and Marc Gasol just made the most sense based on the salaries we were going to have to trade and the assets that we had. We knew we weren't going to be able to get, an all-star center to replace DeAndre. It was going to have to be someone like Marc Gasol, whose value might be a little bit low because, he's on the wrong side of 30 at this point, but he's still a very good player, and we're definitely all in for this season. We're all in for a title run in 2016. So because of that, Marc Gasol just made the most sense out of any of the moves. But now you can see guys like Udonis Haslem are getting minutes. You're going to see Mike Miller. You've seen Mike Miller, Mo Williams, and Luis Scola already this game. And those are spots I'd like to upgrade. We still have, another month or so before the deadline. The last regular season episode, which will be out tomorrow, will be post-trade deadline, so you'll see our final deadline moves. We have a couple picks. Maybe we can flip for, just someone to take Scola's minutes, someone to take Miller's minutes. I mean, those are guys you just can't give those guys minutes on playoff teams. I mean, right now, if the playoffs started, we'd probably have an 8-man rotation with the bench being Cauley Stein and Tyus Jones, and then I don't even know who our third bench guy would be. I guess maybe Mo Williams. I'm not really sure, and that's pretty bad for a playoff team. So we definitely need to do something, because I don't think this team right now, just based on because of what happened to DeAndre, I don't think this team is built to win a title at this point. So we'll see where it goes. But the last thing I wanted to touch on was there is the outside chance that DeAndre Jordan actually comes back quickly from his dislocated patella. The timetable was 4 to 6 months. I sort of just was going to play it as if he was going to be out for the season. But, you know, there is the outside shot. He comes back in April, and we're not going to be able to know that before we, you know, get to the deadline. But there's a chance we might get a little bit more of a clear time frame for his return by the deadline. And if that does happen, that could change things. Maybe, you know, then we trade Gasol again, and, you know, we use Gasol as a 2-month filler and then flip him again for a better two-way forward than Millsap was or something like that. You know, there are more moves we can make. We can trade Marc Gasol again. It's not unprecedented for players to be traded twice in one season. It would technically be breaking the CBA because I don't think you have to be traded before like December 15th to get traded again in that season. But this game doesn't follow a lot of the CBA, so it does not really matter. But you know, we have options, we have moves like that. We could, I mean, I really love Kelly Oubre, as you guys know. I love him a lot more as a bench 3 than as a starting small ball 4. And I certainly wouldn't say he's untouchable because, like I said, I'm all in for the season. I got to think about what he's going to give us this season more so than what he would give us in the future, because I'm really just concerned with this season for right now. And I don't think I'm going to trade Kelly Oubre, but I would just say at this point he's not untouchable, and if we get the right offer, and if I really think it makes us a team that can win a title, and I certainly would not just stay away from it because it's Kelly Oubre. But anyway, we're already into deep in the third quarter here. We've actually come out and really struggled this game. We're down by 12, and now we're down by 11, 76-65. Our offense is struggling, and our defense is really not playing that well, but anyway, at least not up to our standards. I would say, you know, we're the, you know, for, you know, the average standard right now, our defense is playing sort of okay, but for what we need to get out of our defense to try and win a basketball game, it's just not good enough. Giving up 78 points through the first 3 quarters is certainly way too much, and a lot of that is coming from the second unit, because as you can see, Mike Miller is not good defensively, as that guy, I believe that was Powell, I forget what his first name is, but he drains the shot in Mike Miller's face. Here we get a nice block though. Butler on the rebound out to Kelly Oubre, who slams it down. And I was actually a little concerned Anthony Davis, who is on this Nets team. If you watch the offseason video, you know he signed with the Nets in the offseason as a restricted free agent, but I kind of thought he was going to do one of his freaky blocks with his 7'8" long arms or whatever he has. But here we go now, 84-77. Kelly Oubre coming to set a screen for Moutier. He takes it himself, gives it to Gasol. This is something Gasol does a lot better than DeAndre, and that's shoot that outside jumper, even that mid-range jumper. And I found that Jordan's lack of shooting sometimes did hurt us when we were trying to stretch the floor a little bit, but you know, it's a minor improvement. I'd much rather have a healthy DeAndre and still have Millsap and Oubre coming off the bench and the team that was 29-5 or whatever. But here we go. Moutier takes a dribble, steps in, hits that 3. That's a big 3. Gets the lead down to 4. But now the Nets have a chance to respond. Ty Lawson, their new starting point guard this year, with the ball, drives and dishes. I don't know why Paul George helped so hard right there, but left Bogdanovic or Bojan, I forget which one is which, but I think it's Bojan Bogdanovic wide open in the corner, and you can see George trying to answer back. She gets a nice little hook shot or whatever you want to call that, a layup over Ty Lawson there to get the lead down to 3. 2 minutes to play. Wesley Matthews also on this team. This has been a nice little rebuilding job by whoever's controlling this Nets team. Obviously it's just a computer, but I guess you can think of it as Billy King, who I don't think is a very good GM, but he's done a pretty good job. He's got Anthony Davis, he got Darren Williams out of there, he got Joe Johnson, he got Brook Lopez, he got those 3 players and their pretty bad contracts out of there. Brought in Ty Lawson, Wes Matthews, Anthony Davis. That's a pretty good team. I wouldn't mind that core if I was moving forward, especially with Anthony Davis, of course, but even past that, Ty Lawson and Wesley Matthews are also two very good and relatively young players. But 99-90, after that Paul George missed 3. This game was pretty much over. You can see they're going to come right back down. Anthony Davis takes 2 steps from the free throw line, or two steps from the 3-point line, and gets a layup. So anyway, that would be the ball game. We would end up losing 101-90, but anyway, I spent most of the video rambling about the team's outlook right now and sort of our sad state. I mean, I really thought, you know, we won 16 games in a row. I didn't know who was beating us at that point. And, you know, I think we were bar none title favorites up to that point. But now we might be another move or 2 away before we even think about beating the Hornets again. I'm really concerned about trying to beat the Hornets with this current team. But anyway, you can take a look at the final stats. 4 guys in double figures. Gasol and Oubre, not very efficient nights, although George and Moutier had pretty good games. That's sort of the way this team is trending. It's Emmanuel Moutier and Paul George's team, and everyone else is sort of secondary to say the least. And people always bother me about getting Jimmy Butler more involved in offense because he scores 22 points a game in real life, but the game's ratings don't really reflect that kind of offensive ability, so it's a little bit more difficult to get him involved, but I will continue to try and work it out. Anyway, that's going to do it. Thanks so much, guys. Hope you did enjoy. This is Mount. Peace.